Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Cole. It's Sunday afternoon, June 11th. We're going to call this Week 5 and 5A for Political Science 1013 for summer 2023 on the first 7-week term. Everybody, I won't try to get a midweek announcement out this week. You should have seen a message from me. We're going to extend Exam 3 and leave it open for a total of 48 hours, Monday the 19th and Tuesday the 20th, because I had forgotten that Monday the 19th will be an official OPSU holiday for Juneteenth. So the exam will be open on the 19th if you want to take it on that date, but it will also be open the following day, the 20th, Tuesday the 20th, for a total of 48 hours. So you do not have to take it on the 19th if you have other plans for that date, which is an official university holiday. All right. Everybody, we're getting to a busy part of the course. By the time you see this, we should have begun our third discussion, which will run tomorrow and Tuesday, the 12th and 13th, about Governor DeSantis. It essentially asks you to tell me what you think of Governor DeSantis. We've given you one reading to link to, really, to take part in the discussion as long as if you read anything about Governor DeSantis, Ron DeSantis of Florida, even if you have trouble accessing that particular article. And if you would like, if you're having trouble, I will try to get it to you. Just contact me. But the discussion assignment just asks you what you think of Governor DeSantis as a presidential candidate. He is supposed to be the main challenger to former President Trump in the Republican primaries for the contest for the Republican nomination. Okay? All right, so that'll be coming up the next couple of days. Everybody, we've got to get a total of 5 discussions in. So once this discussion 3 is complete, later in the week, I'm planning to hold discussion 4 before the exam. So we will do 2 of them this week for the sake of trying to get 5 in by the end of the term. Some of you who are struggling, remember, each discussion is 25 points. We count the best 4 out of 5. So that's a 100-point grade equivalent to an exam grade. Furthermore, if you take part in all of the discussions, we're given a 25-point attendance bonus. Okay. So it would pay you to take part in all 5 of these, especially if you are struggling in the course. Let's see what else we have, everybody. So we'll be doing 2 discussions this week. The exam will be the 19th and the 20th. I also wanted to remind everybody, if you are thinking of doing a term paper, we have a deadline coming up this week of Thursday the 17th. Okay? You must contact me about your term paper topic by the 17th, or your paper will not be accepted. And then the paper itself will be due 2 weeks over that, which is the 2 weeks after that, which is the 1st of the month, July 1st. Okay. Again, that's a 100-point grade equivalent to an exam. If you have a low exam grade, the paper, if you choose to do it, can go in place of a low exam grade, so long as you make a higher grade on the paper. Okay, so please contact me by the 17th if that is something you would like to attempt to do. Okay? All right, now, everybody, looking at recent news, President Trump has been indicted for a second time. This happened earlier this week. This indictment is believed to be more serious than the previous one. This indictment is being brought by a special prosecutor in the Justice Department, as opposed to a prosecutor in New York City, as with the first indictment that had to do with hush money payments, which may have violated campaign finance laws. This second indictment has to do with the handling of classified material. And it's pretty clear, there's a good deal of agreement throughout the press, really across the political spectrum, that this is a more serious matter for Trump than the first indictment. And a trial may extend through the presidential election campaign. So it's going to hang over the trial, the campaign, although it may prompt many of Trump's supporters to rally around him. I should also mention to everybody, he's going to be arraigned Tuesday in Miami, and there's some talk that Tuesday something may go down, something like January 6th, 2021. Now, that's by no means certain, and we shouldn't be too alarmist about it, but there is some talk flying around to that extent. There was one message posted by a Republican member of the House that many people found alarming in this respect. But there's political disagreement about the validity of the prosecution. Some people say Trump is being singled out for political reasons, and of course his opponents probably would not agree. Everyone agrees that it's a more serious charge than the previous charge. Really, there are 37 counts to the indictment, I understand. So that's something we're going to be hearing quite a bit about in the coming months as the presidential campaign unfolds. Everybody, more people have declared their candidacy for president. Okay, there was Senator Tim Scott, Republican of South Carolina, former Vice President Pence, former Governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, okay, the Governor of North Dakota, I believe that's Mr. Burgum, also declared his candidacy. He's not thought to have much of a chance, but he's a very wealthy man who made his money by selling a software company to Microsoft. So there were a handful of people in the race already. Many people think former President Trump benefits from a crowded field because apparently he starts the campaign with 30 or 40% of the Republican vote in his back pocket. The more opponents there are, the more they fragment the vote, and the better Trump's chances are, or so the argument goes. Arguably, something like that happened in the year 2016. But we are seeing more candidates declare, and there may be yet more later this year. Governor Christie is someone who's presented himself as a dogged antagonist of President Trump. He plans to go after Trump hammer and tongs if he appears in the debates with Trump. But he has to qualify first, which means he has to show up with at least 1% support in the polls, and he may or may not be able to do that. But if Christie gets on the debate platform and goes after Trump, that, to say the very least, could cause a lot of excitement. One other thing that's happened to everybody that's worth noting, the chief executive officer of CNN stepped down. Mr. Chris Licht, L-I-C-H-T. He had been on the job about a year. He had set himself the task of trying to turn CNN around. And he believed what it needed to do was, he saw a problem. He felt the network was too stridently anti-Trump and too far on the left side of the political spectrum in general. And he wanted it to try to play things straight down the middle. It doesn't look as though it worked, however. You might have heard that just a couple of weeks ago, the network had hosted a town hall with former President Trump. What happened was, it turned out the entire audience was made up of Trump supporters, and the whole thing came off like a Trump rally. He told the moderator at one point, CNN reporter Caitlin Collins, that she was a nasty person. The whole thing did not go over very well with CNN employees, and Mr. Licht lost a lot of support, and he eventually stepped down. Okay, so it's not clear what can be done about CNN going forward. Many people argue that cable news in general is in a fair amount of trouble and is liable to see its audience decline over the next few years because of competition from new media, such as we talked about previously. All right, everybody. The exam will be Monday and Tuesday, the 19th and 20th. It will cover Units 5 and 6 on the presidency, and Unit 5 on the presidency, and Unit 6 on the federal bureaucracy. Now, I'll say more about Unit 6 next time, Friday or Saturday, when I get an announcement out before the exam. Unit 6 is quite a short unit. Unit 5 is longer, on the presidency and the executive branch. Okay. Here's what we try to do in Unit 5. We begin by talking about the presidential office in general and recent presidents, going back all the way to President Carter. whom students may know is not well. He's approaching 100 years old and is not expected to live much longer. He's put himself in hospice care, President Carter. But we go from Carter to Reagan to both of the Bushes and President Clinton. Then after that, George W. Bush, Obama, Trump, and Joe Biden. Okay, we talk about some of the successes and failures and challenges that each of those presidents encountered. We talk about different things that are asked of the president, or different roles that presidents are asked to play, or hats that the president is asked to wear. Okay? We discuss what the Constitution has to say about the office of president, including presidential powers, especially in the area of military and national security. Also, the Constitution lays out the procedure for the presidential election, okay, which we talk about in this unit. Now, you notice there's a chapter on the presidency, and I've assigned a few pages from the chapter on elections. I treat the presidential election process in this unit because it's so different from any other election that we have. You know, there's some things about this election in particular we need to know about. In particular, why it's stretched out over such a long period of time, a year or two. Okay, so you have one chapter on the presidency, one on the bureaucracy, and a few pages from the chapter on elections assigned about the presidential election in particular. Okay. We go on from there to talk about resources the president possesses. Suppose the president supports a bill and is trying to push this bill through Congress and achieve passage in Congress. What resources does the president have to draw upon? We discuss this. There are many resources. We also emphasize presidents don't have anything like a 100% batting average when it comes to this. Some presidential initiatives are successful, legislation that the president supports, others are not. Okay, so presidents have a mixed record trying to get this thing done, kind of thing done. We then go on to talk about the apparatus surrounding the president in the White House, in what we call the executive office of the president, that also includes the White House staff and several other small bureaucratic agencies that are answerable more or less directly to the president and the White House. There's the Budget Bureau, the Office of Management and Budget, the National Security Council, various bodies that are set up there to advise the president about economic matters and other political issues that may come up. Then there's the cabinet. That's the very last thing that we mentioned. But we try to emphasize in our system, the cabinet is not nearly as important as it is in the British system, although we do hear from time to time about cabinet meetings being held, but it doesn't play the same role that it does in a system that we would say is characterized by cabinet government, of which the British system is a good example. We have a cabinet, but we don't have cabinet government. All right, then, everybody, in a nutshell, that's what's in Unit 5. We'll try to say a bit about Unit 6 next time before the exam. We expect to talk to you once again in not quite a week, maybe 5 or 6 days toward the end of this week, with the exam then coming up on Monday and Tuesday, the 19th and 20th. Not this Monday and Tuesday, but a week from this Monday and Tuesday. So we'll be talking to you again later in the week. I hope you will take part in both the discussions and that you will contact me if you are interested in doing a term paper. Otherwise, study hard and take it easy, and we'll talk to you again in a few days.